For many, the Pet Shop Boys epitomise 80s pop. With their synthetic beats and dance vocals, Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe helped define a generation of electronic music.
The Eastern boys and Western girls.
Unforgettable hits like West End Girls and It's a Sin won them numerous awards and 4 #1 spots on the UK charts. And their flamboyant outfits and style became instant trademarks. But few would have guessed that this duo would still be going strong after 25 years.
We were probably slightly worried that we'd be a one-hit wonder.
Over the past 2 decades, they've sold more than 100 million albums. Last March, they released the album Yes to rave reviews. And the DVD of their hit London concert Pandemonium has come out just this week. From dance pop pioneers to cult classic, the Pet Shop Boys are our connectors of the day.
That was when
And earlier I spoke to the electronic pop duo Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe, better known as the Pet Shop Boys. I began with a question a lot of you want an answer to. What's your upcoming Pandemonium tour schedule looking like? Loads of you wrote in for that from all over the world. Here is what they had to say.
Well, we've just announced some more tour dates, and we're playing some more dates in Britain in July. And we've announced our first festival appearance, which is in Barcelona at the end of May. There will be some more. We're under discussion about whether we're going to play Australia. Because we get a lot of messages from Australia about where we're playing there. But we don't really have a huge audience in Australia, is the fact of the matter, and it's a long way to go. So
to play to 2 people.
To play to 2 people.
We should just invite them over here.
Yes.
Belize, Bangkok,
It'll be cheaper for everyone.
It'll
be a lot cheaper for everyone.
But actually, we're looking into we haven't done the Middle East or Southeast Asia yet, or Australia, and that's all under discussion for later on in the year.
Chris Jones writes in, he says, anyone now can make electronic music, even on the iPhone, he says. Do you think that it will reveal more talent than when it was harder and more expensive to make music?
It's a good point, because when electronic music was very difficult to make, when we first started making music, sequencing stuff was very, very, very complicated, and stuff would happen because of accidents of programming. So I'm in 2 minds. I think it's great if you can facilitate people making music, because people with no musical training often turn out to have songwriting ability, and this enables them to do that.
Aaron Fuller writes in, when you started out, guys, did you ever imagine you'd become an act quite like this one? And he alludes to Bowie.
That's low, didn't it?
Well, he alludes to Bowie. He says, each time recreating yourselves as pop chameleons, rolling with the changing times.
Our standard answer to a question like this is we've never really looked that far ahead. So when we started in the early 80s writing songs together, it was like a hobby, and then we made a record, and then everything sort of developed from there. But we weren't really thinking where we're going to be in 25 years' time. We were just thinking it was sort of great while it lasted. And I still think it's great while it lasts.
Good. Jordan Christopher writes and he says, you've had a fantastic 2009. What's next for the Pet Shop Boys?
Fantastic 2010.
Well, I hope so.
Well, we're doing some more dates. We're writing a ballet, which will be performed at Sadler's Wells next year, and see if any more offers come through for any more dates around, the world. So,
lots of questions about the ballet. What more can you tell us at this point?
Well, we were asked. A friend of ours called Yvonne Petrov, who's a principal dancer at the Royal Ballet, asked us if we'd write a short ballet for him to appear at Sadler's Wells in the summer when the Royal Ballet on stage. And at the same time, Chris phoned me up and he'd read a book of stories by Hans Christian Andersen. He thought Wander would make a perfect idea for a ballet, so that's really funny. Yvonne just phoned up and said, would we write a ballet? So we decided the synchronicity meant that we had to do it, and so we went and met Sadler's Wells, and they liked the idea.
One of our viewers actually writing in to ask, would you ever perform that in the States?
We would if we were asked. One of the great misconceptions people often have is that a band just decides they're going to do something and then it happens. Actually, all of these things, you're reliant on people approaching you and saying, would you like to do such and such in such and such a place? It's like if we were mentioning Australia before, Australian promoters aren't falling over themselves to book the Pet Shop Boys.
Tony Sim
I've been a fan since West End Girls. What keeps you going after so many years? What do you do to maintain your energy and your enthusiasm?
I think writing music is a pleasure. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. I've often said it's like playing, really. It's like a game. It's fun. Making something out of nothing. Sometimes it's frustrating as well, hard work. But the basic joy of it is what keeps you going. And then everything follows on from that. And then thinking what you can, how you can present it, etc. But what keeps us going is the love of the songwriting.
Good. Question here from Steve Fisher, who just says, will you please, 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 and he says it about 18 times, release It Couldn't Happen Here on DVD. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why it isn't.
It Couldn't Happen Here, in case you don't know, is the film we released
very good, isn't it?
in 1988. And it was funny because we never set out to make a feature film. We set out to make a sort of video album, which is the kind of thing people did in the 80s, where every track. And anyway, this turned into, miraculously, us having a feature film released all over Britain. And it's a sort of surreal adventure. But it has its followers. It's meant to be coming out on DVD. I don't know, it just seems to take a while.
Paddy asks, when creating a song, is it the music that comes first, then the lyrics, or vice versa?
They happen together. But often you think of you've written a piece of music and you think of a little hook and it comes in your head with words attached to it, which is really great.
Good stuff. Question here from Laura, and she asks, from Laura, hello Neil and Chris, how do you survive the last minute hours before a concert, in particular the first concert of a tour?
Well, we know what you do.
Well, I'm generally asleep.
Should we know?
It's not like that. No, I'm generally asleep. Then wake up and have a bit of makeup applied and go on.
Do you get nervous? I mean, I guess that's a question that everybody
The
wants to
first
ask.
date of a tour, you might be slightly nervous. Depends how much rehearsal you've had.
It's quite nerve-wracking sometimes, though, simply because the equipment can fail, and it's a bit embarrassing when it all just stops.